Hello and welcome. I'm Ramesh Ramachandran. It's just after 9 a.m. in New Delhi, 4:30 in the morning in London, and 11:30 at night in Washington, D.C. And you're watching a special broadcast here on DD India as part of our continuing coverage of India's retaliation to Pakistan after the Pahalgam terror attack. We'll be joined by our full complement of reporters and guests who will put the strikes by India in their proper context for you. We'll get you world reactions, including the US and Israel, which have supported India's retaliatory strikes against Pakistan. On a programming note, we are standing by for an Indian Army press conference in New Delhi. All that and much more coming up in the next hour. But first, the headlines. India conducts Operation Sindoor, strikes 9 terror targets in Pakistan and Pakistan-occupied Kashmir. Hideouts of the Lashkar-e-Taiba, Jaish-e-Mohammed and Hizbul Mujahideen terror groups destroyed. Prime Minister Narendra Modi personally monitors the late-night strikes. The Indian Army to hold a press conference at 10 a.m. The Cabinet Committee on Security set to meet. National Security Advisor Ajit Doval briefs US Secretary of State Marco Rubio, who holds the additional charge of National Security Advisor. Air travel across northern India impacted. The Airports Authority of India shuts down runways at airports in Srinagar and Amritsar, among others. And Pakistan violates ceasefire hours after India strikes terror camps. The Indian Army responds appropriately. The Indian Armed Forces launched Operation Sindoor, hitting terrorist infrastructure in Pakistan and Pakistan-occupied Kashmir, from where terrorist attacks against India have been planned and directed. In a press release, the Armed Forces said that altogether 9 sites were targeted. The Ministry of Defence press release says, and I quote, "Our actions have been focused, measured and non-escalatory in nature. No Pakistani military facilities have been targeted. India has demonstrated considerable restraint in selection of targets and method of execution. These steps come in the wake of the barbaric Pahalgam terrorist attack in which 25 Indians and 1 Nepali citizen were murdered. We are living up to the commitment that those responsible for this attack will be held accountable," unquote. Now, the places where the terrorist hideouts were attacked are Bahawalpur, Muridke, Tera Kalan, Sialkot, Barnala, 2 places in Kotli, 2 places in Muzaffarabad as well. The terrorist hideouts of Lashkar-e-Taiba, the Jaish-e-Mohammed and the Hizbul Mujahideen were targeted. Right, joining me are 2 very special guests, Lieutenant General Ravi Shankar and former Ambassador Prabhu Dayal. Gentlemen, welcome to this special broadcast. Good to have you join this discussion. If I can come to you first, General, your thoughts, your opening comments on Operation Sindoor, the message behind it and the import of India's actions on Pakistan in general and the Pakistani Army Chief in particular.
Thanks a lot. Good morning to everyone. And,
Morning.
Thanks for inviting me over. I think Operation Sindoor has been carried out very well. My compliments to all those who participated in it and to the armed forces who keep the national flag flying, and we're very proud of them. Right. This is a very well planned and calibrated operation. we for the first time struck 9 targets, like you said. And what's more important of these 9 targets are 4 targets like Bahalpur and Murdike and all are across the IB, right? And the other 5 targets are across the LOC. We've broken a barrier in this, and we've given a strong message to Pakistan that it doesn't matter where the terrorists are, we'll get after them. And the importance of hitting Bawalpur and Murdike must be not lost sight of, because they are the headquarters of LET and Jaish-e-Mohammed. So I think that's very good. The next thing which I'd like to highlight about this entire operation is that the surprise which has been achieved. Surprise and deception are an important part of any campaign, and this has been total. Now, let me explain to you a little more. Just yesterday, a NOTAM was issued that SWAC, that is Southwestern Air Command, will carry out, major exercise on 7th and 8th. Everyone's focus was there. Then at national level, there was a thing laid out that, look, there's a mock drill being carried out and all that. Now, in between that, or in fact, I won't say between that, everyone was thinking, look, the strikes will come later and all that. Lo and behold, we've gone and hit them, and there's been no response. Important thing, you penetrated their air defenses completely. Two aspects to this. One is their surveillance system has failed, and second, their interception system has failed. Right? Whether it is failed or it is there, we don't know. But generally, it has failed. And considering the fact that 4 days back or 5 days back, Asim Munir went on top of a tank and he said, "Oh, we'll do everything and we know how to defend the nation." And this is the talk he's being given. Now his position is now at stake. Okay. Now, when you look at the reaction from across the border, I'm talking of across the border, there are people in those Afghans or the Pashtuns and the Baluch people who are completely happy about this whole affair and they're with India. So it points to a fact that the people of Pakistan are divided, and that is something which we should not lose sight of, and there is a role to play in this as we go ahead. As far as the effect on the morale of the Pakistan army is concerned, I think they would be in a bad state at this point of time. But having said that, let's also not forget that Pakistan is a professional army. The Pakistan Armed Forces are pretty professional, and they will get back, and that is their nature. And if you look at the personality of Asim Munir itself, he is going to retaliate. After all, his whole story so far which you've seen is anti-India, radical, anti-Hindu.
General, if I may come in there, you say that knowing Asim Munir, the man and the general, and his strategic calculus and orientation, he will respond. Fair enough. Yes. But the question is, what will he target? Now, India says, we have not targeted your military, civilian or economic targets. We've only focused on terrorist infrastructure in Pakistan and PoK. So if I am Asim Munir, what would I be targeting? And even if I target military / economic / civilian targets in India, would New Delhi consider that as an escalation and retaliate in kind?
Look, you have to go back to Op Swift retort, which happened immediately after, the Balakot incident. What did they target? They targeted general space and, generally in the area of, military areas. It's only unfortunate that Wing Commander Abhinandan got after them and, he had to bail out in POK and the whole thing went awry. Otherwise, it would have gone, nothing much would have happened. Similarly, be rest assured, Pakistan will manufacture a target. It is a matter of their pride. If they don't do it, the entire edifice on which the army stands, that it is guarding the nation, and it will do everything possible against India, will go down the drain. In this whole story, they might be reckless enough to even hit a military target. Let's be very clear. Okay, that's the way the Pakistan army thinks. And that's the way they've also behaved in the past. So we must expect a retaliation.
Okay.
And retaliation will be in full force.
Fair enough.
So, I mean, to say that he won't retaliate, it doesn't matter. He'll manufacture targets. It's a matter of his pride. It's not
Right.
only a matter of his pride, it's also a matter of pride of the Pakistan army and the
Indeed. So, as you say, General,
general.
it's a catch-22 situation for General Asim Munir. Damned if he does, damned if he doesn't. What will you do? All eyes on him as we speak. If I can come to you, Ambassador Dayal, your take as a former diplomat who has served in Pakistan as well. Your take on the mood in Rawalpindi now as we speak. What would the generals be thinking or planning to do? And what do you think has been the global reactions coming in, especially from the US and Israel that have supported India's retaliatory strikes, calling it justified?
Ramesh, first of all, thanks for having me on your show.
Welcome.
You would recall that on the night of 22nd April, just after the Foreign Secretary's briefing, I had a discussion with you on the very same channel on which we are now, and we had both been in agreement that all options are on the table.
Right.
India had made it very clear that the terror attack at Pahalgam will not go unpunished. Now, we are making it abundantly clear to the rest of the world that the strikes which we have carried out within Pakistan and in PoK are against the terrorist bases. We are not targeting military, civilian, or economic targets. We are only targeting the terrorist bases. Now, you asked me about the mood that would prevail in Islamabad, Rawalpindi, and elsewhere. You know, there would be a high level of concern. The Pakistanis perhaps were afraid that India would carry out a strike. They didn't know what would be the extent of this. But nonetheless, there was already a sense of panic because of the fact that India had suspended the Indus Waters Treaty. And on the Chenab, for instance, we had completely stopped the flow of water except to keep the marine life alive there. So there was already a degree of panic and concern within Pakistan. Now, General is absolutely right in saying that there will be perhaps a retaliatory strike because General Asim Munir is the sort of person who will now take it as a challenge for himself, and knowing his bent of mind, he will retaliate. We have to make it very clear to Pakistan through messaging and indeed to the rest of the world that if Pakistan retaliates, we will hit back in a very, very significant manner and it would amount to an escalation.
So the onus, as you say, Ambassador, is on Pakistan and Asim Munir in particular?
We should send the message that Pakistan as such, of course, that General Asim Munir is the Chief of Army Staff and he is the one who's now at the forefront. And if Pakistan retaliates, it will be the joint decision of their government headed by Shehbaz Sharif and General Asim Munir who heads the army. In fact, General Asim Munir will be calling the shots.
Right.
We have to make it clear that if they carry out any sort of retaliatory strike, we will escalate the conflict and hit back in a very big manner. This message has to go across to Pakistan and to the rest of the world because it is important that the rest of the world and countries which matter to Pakistan should pressurize it not to retaliate. But as General said, given the situation and given the thinking of General Asim Munir, it is very likely that there will be a retaliation.
Okay.
And I'm sure we are prepared for that. So, to sum up, in the diplomatic context, we have to send across a few messages. Firstly, that whatever we did was because of our policy of zero tolerance towards terror. In fact, in this context, we have received a lot of support from a whole lot of countries, including the United States. And in fact, some of the Islamic countries have also spoken out against terrorism. So we should make it abundantly clear that our action has taken place because of the terrorist attack in Pahalgam, and we have zero tolerance towards terror,
Right.
and we are not going to take things lying down. We had to strike at the terrorist outfits.
Indeed.
Secondly, we have to make it very clear that any retaliation from Pakistan will necessarily require a much bigger Indian response. There would be an escalation, and that escalation would not be in the interest of Pakistan at all. It would not be in the interest of the rest of the world because there would be effects of a global nature. Now, does Pakistan listen to our warnings? It remains to be seen. But the unfolding scenario will naturally present many challenges, including challenges in the diplomatic arena.
Right. General Shankar, the Indian Army's first response immediately after the Operation Sindoor was executed was straightforward, simple, precise. It said, and I'm quoting from the Army press statement and especially from the tweet on social media platform X, it simply says, justice is served. Now, we are standing by for an Indian Army's press conference here in New Delhi, but short of that, the only thing we are officially going by is the Army's, the Defense Ministry's press statement, in which it says that India demonstrated considerable restraint in selection of targets 1 and 2, the method of execution. Now, you refer to how some of the targets and the sites were across the international border as opposed to the line of control. Now, we know that in the past, India has hit out at targets in Pakistan-occupied Kashmir across the LOC, but shied away from targeting areas along the international border. But in this case, Muridke, Sialkot, Bahawalpur, all are in the so-called Punjabi heartland, from where the Pakistani army draws its sustenance from. What do you make of the selection of targets and the method of execution, General?
Look, the method of execution is more surgical than all that we have done earlier. We've taken the target. In fact, if you heard what the ISPR spokesperson spoke, I think he was the DG ISPR, he recounted the mosques which have been hit. And all those mosques are not mosques. They are the headquarters of all the terror outfits, LET and Jaish and HM and all that. So to that extent, I think they themselves admitted these areas have been hit. It's going to make a major impact on the people of Pakistan. I mean, you have to view it in a larger sense. We've already, turned off the taps or virtually threatening to turn off the taps of water in Punjab, in South Punjab. This is the critical area, where the complete Pakistan army and Pakistan draws sustenance from, the core of Pakistan. And that's where you gone and hit, that's where you gone and close water, that's where you gone and close all the borders, right? Add to this the other things which have happened. There are no overflights today. There's not a single overflight over Pakistan, right? And they're going to lose a lot of money because of this. You look at the visa ban, you look at the trade ban, you look at the animosity which is coming through from Afghanistan and Baluchistan. Not only Afghanistan, from Khyber Pakhtunkhwa. I think suddenly tomorrow Pakistan, when it steps back, it must realize what they're up against. And the escalation control at this point of time, like what the good ambassador said, is completely with us. We know how to do it. And this escalation is just not military, right? We could have done much more with our military, but we have only focused on the terrorist infrastructure. Tomorrow, if Pakistan decides to do something, we have many more assets and many more angles to go from. We have to escalate it even through grey zone if needed, because they've been operating through the grey zone for so long. And the myth that the IB is can't be crossed or all that is gone. It's no more. It's there's nothing left. It's simple, straight messaging. You do something naughty and you pay for it. And India will make you pay for it, right? There's an issue which I want to bring up.
Sure.
Is that we spoke of international support, USA, Israel, and all that. Day before yesterday, if you recollect, Mr. Putin has also come out and in full support of India.
Indeed.
right? So there is widespread support. It's only China where, which is siding Pakistan. And China is also siding Pakistan to the extent that their social media and internal media is completely with Pakistan. And they will spread fake news and all that. But even China, in my opinion, will take a very cautious approach because China has a lot to lose whichever way the whole story goes. So I think Pakistan diplomatically is in a corner. From many points of view, it's actually boxed in. So that the opportunity is here. How you go ahead from here? Even the danger is here, because a boxed cat can become a little irrational.
Right.
Right? Whether what I mean, the whole thing depends on how things go ahead and how India can, exercise escalatory control in this whole story. I think we need to be very careful about that.
Okay.
Same time, I think from from whatever has transpired so far, I think there's a plan in place, and I'm very confident that we'll be able to pull it out this time. And I think we put a nice information machinery also into place, and things will fall in place. That's my confidence,
Right.
and that's the way I look at the whole story. But like you said, the real thing will come out when the press conference happens at 10 o'clock.
Indeed.
And we come to know of the actuals which the army will put out. Or in fact, I expect the government to put out. The army is just the platform from which it is communicating.
Right, General. So we have discussed about the selection of targets and the method of execution. Now, if I may press on further, General, is it possible that the usual suspects might have become a casualty of these strikes, especially the likes of Masood Azhar or Hafiz Saeed? I mean, is it possible that they could have been taken out in those strikes?
No,
assuming this was an intelligence-based operation.
Yeah, I know that's an intelligence-based operation, but I think these people, the moment the Pahalgam strike took place,
Okay.
The terror attack took place, they would have gone into hiding.
Right.
So in fact, if you see that chap Tala Masood, who's Azhar Masood's son, has come out with some statement and all that. It's very clear that Azhar Masood and all these fellows have gone into hiding. So I don't think we would have got any major leader in this whole story. But that's not important.
Okay.
It's symbolic that we will get after them hereafter wherever they are. It doesn't matter where they are. You surface anywhere, we'll hit you. You operate from anywhere, we'll hit you. That's the leeway and that's the space which we have created for ourselves. If we play this game well, I think Pakistan will be very hard put to put across its terror network the way it has done so far. And the aspect that it could hide behind the IB and say, oh, we'll operate from the IB with our headquarters and, across the IB, nothing will happen. I think that hoodoo is also broken. Incrementally, if you look at it from the Uri, the surgical strikes post Uri, and then the Balakot strike, and now, one by one, a lot of hoodoos have been broken. Earlier, it was felt that we can't cross the LOC. In the 2016 surgical strikes, we crossed the LOC. Then it was felt we can't cross the IB. When we hit Balakot, we actually crossed the IB. We hit them behind the IB. Okay. But now they felt, no, south of Punjab, hardcore of Punjab and all that, nothing will happen and all that. We've hit them. We've not hit them only across the IB, we've hit them across the LOC. It's not just one strike or two strikes, you've carried out 9 strikes. And each of these strikes, if you go by what the DGISPR says, had about 5 to 6 strikes internally.
Right.
So it's been a massive attack and very calibrated. If this message doesn't go through to the Pakistan army, I don't know what will go through to them. And they're pretty smart about it. They should learn how to do it. Yes, they will retaliate. Let's not have any doubts about it. They will retaliate. And our capability comes in how do you parry this retaliation.
Fair enough.
We need to anticipate. I'm sure a certain amount of anticipation has done and certain amount of deterrence also has been put in place that you do this and we'll do that.
Fair enough. Ambassador Dayal, let me get a diplomatic perspective from you now. We've heard from the US side, we've heard from Israel in the last several hours since Operation Sindoor was launched and executed. In the past few days, we also heard from none other than President Vladimir Putin of Russia, who has come out in support of India and said that the perpetrators and their supporters must be brought to justice, must be punished. We've also seen how the UN Security Council met and discussed this issue, but nothing came out of it because many members were skeptical, and they remain so, of Pakistan's claims on the terror attack and its fallout. Do you think India's diplomatic outreach is paying dividends, one? And two, do you think there is a growing appreciation today in key world capitals that India's patience is not inexhaustible and that India will retaliate and impose costs on the perpetrators and their backers in Pindi and elsewhere?
Ramesh, India's approach has been to send across a very clear message that the action it is taking and will continue to take is targeted against terrorism. And there is global support for us because of the fact that the rest of the world also realizes that India has been suffering from terrorist attacks which have been carried out from Pakistan, and that there is a need to end these attacks. Now, let me tell you that the name of this operation itself conveys the fact that it is targeted against those people who carried out the Pahalgam terror attack. Why do I say so? The attack in Pahalgam was targeted at killing Hindu men. It snatched away the sindoor from Hindu married women. They were spared, and they were told to convey to our Prime Minister that the whole thing is being done against Hindus. There was a message which they kept on conveying, Modi ko jaake bol dena. So what the terrorists did was that they snatched away the sindoor from Hindu married women while killing their husbands. So Operation Sindoor is a very clear message that the action which we are taking is to punish those terrorists and their backers who carried out the Pahalgam operation and snatched away the sindoor from Hindu married women. Now, support has been forthcoming from various quarters for our anti-terror positions. You referred to the UN Security Council, the special session that took place, the consultations, closed door. Now, that was held at the behest of Pakistan. Pakistan is a non-permanent member of the UN Security Council, and it sought the convening of that meeting. But was Pakistan able to get support from the other members of the Security Council? No. There was no statement issued at the end of the meeting, which itself showed that Pakistan's position did not receive any backing. Now, Pakistan finds itself in a situation that it is like the boy crying wolf, as if, India is to blame. The world realizes that Pakistan is the nerve center of terrorism. And that is why many members of the Security Council spoke out against terrorism. And there was a clear message that was sent across to Pakistan that it has to take action against the terrorists who are operating from its territory. And that far from taking such action, what has been happening in Pakistan is that these terrorists are being encouraged, they are being funded, they are being abetted, they are being trained, funded, armed to carry out attacks against India. Now, Pakistan realizes its own internal difficulties. The gentleman very rightly referred to the fact that how the shutting off of the Chenab River yesterday has created panic because Pakistan heavily depends on the waters of the Indus River, Jhelum and Chenab for not just irrigation, particularly in the Punjab, but also for the generation of hydroelectric power. Therefore, the situation in Pakistan is going to grow from bad to worse. I say this because, as it is, Pakistan is reeling from the effects of a worsening economy. Pakistan's economy is in very dire straits.
Right.
And the steps which India is taking will further worsen the economic situation. Now, the general also referred to the Baloch rebels and the Pashtun rebels. Now, if there is heavy deployment by Pakistan at the border with India, naturally that will give an impetus to the militant organizations and they will be able to carry out more activities. Now, in this whole scenario, Afghanistan becomes very important because both the Khyber Pakhtunkhwa rebels, that is the Pashtun rebels, the TTP, and the Baloch rebels find refuge across the border in Afghanistan. They carry out attacks and they get refuge in Afghanistan. Why does Afghanistan give refuge to them? Because the relations between Pakistan and Afghanistan are worsening also. There are serious differences which have come up, and in fact, there has been an escalation in attacks from the Afghanistan side against Pakistan and vice versa. So, in this scenario, the geopolitical situation also does not favor Pakistan.
Absolutely.
So, if it escalates against India, it will do so at the grave risk of a breakup of Pakistan because the cost, not just economic but also military, will be very heavy for Pakistan. And I wouldn't be surprised if the Baloch and the Pashtun rebels are able to carry out more serious attacks against the armed forces.
Indeed.
And perhaps succeed in getting their independence from Pakistan.
General Shankar, if I can come back and build on the point you were making and the point Ambassador Dayal was making there, if, and correct me if I am wrong, if it is General Asim Muni's ideological and domestic political compulsion to be seen to be responding to the Indian strikes, the next question, logical question to ask is, would Pakistan's viability as a state, as you and I know it, will be in doubt given India's predisposition to calling Pakistan's bluff on terrorism and hurting where it hurts them the most? And also, as we've seen in the media reports, in particular Moody's ratings report, which says Pakistan cannot afford a war with India given its dire economic conditions. So, if you were Asim Muni, if I were to ask you to hazard a guess, what would he be thinking? Would he have learned a lesson, or do you think he will continue with his misadventures?
Look, he will not learn a lesson because he's a dyed-in-the-wool Islamist. If you study all the dictators and the generals of Pakistan, this man is a complete Islamist, harder than what Ziaul Haq was. If you see his 8-minute speech which he gave to the overseas Pakistanis and the way he's spoken in various places, 2-3 things come out very, very, very clearly. One, he's completely anti-India, he's completely anti-Hindu, he's completely radical, and he's a very sharp and a shrewd operator. He knows how to handle internal politics well. External politics, he's very poor. That is very clear. And so far, whatever he's done for, the economy of Pakistan has all failed. But that has not deterred him. He's gone to the extent, if you see, we're talking of Indus Water, he is the one who started this Green Pakistan initiative. What is the Green Pakistan initiative all about? It is about drawing water through 6 new canals which you are digging through from Indus, through the Cholistan desert, where he's already sold off 10 to 20,000 acres or more, thousands of acres of land to corporates. And who are the major stakeholders of these corporates? The Pakistan Army. So this whole lot of the Pakistan Army, its generals, including Asim Muni, are on a different grid altogether. You see that he's propagated the story of being a hard state. What is this hard state all about? And you see a lot of people within Pakistan talking up against this concept of hard state. And this concept of hard state he's propagating in the context of Baluchistan, that he'll come very hard on them, which he's failed. At this point of time, the Pakistan Army is getting hit in Baluchistan very badly. There are many places in Baluchistan the Pakistan Army can't enter also. There are many places in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa where the Pakistan Army is getting hit every day. Every day they are losing 2 to 3 people. That's the minimum. It could be more. So they are in a very bad shape. I mean, I really don't know where this man is looking. To me, I think he's a cross between what Ziaul Haq was and Yahya Khan was. Yahya Khan also behaved in the same manner before he lost Bangladesh or East Pakistan at that point of time. And this has been brought to notice none other than by Akhtar Mengal of BNP, who's now from being a normal, center of the line politician in Pakistan, has swung to being almost a separatist in Balochistan. So I think the situation within Pakistan is dire. The political situation is dire. He has created a Nelson Mandela in Imran Khan. He has alienated to everything west of Indus is alienated from hardcore, main core Pakistan at this point of time. Economy is short, diplomacy is short, and now he's militarily committing a harakiri. I think he's under real pressure. I think Pakistan state is under real pressure. I think the very idea of Pakistan is under pressure at this point of time. Pakistan has come to a stage where anything can happen. I won't hazard a second guess. And if India
including possibly a mutiny against General Asim Munir?
I will say breakup of Pakistan.
Okay. So breakup of Pakistan is possible, says General Shankar, and also dissensions within the ranks of the army as well. Point taken, General. We'll come back to in just a bit. General Shankar, Ambassador Dayal, do stay on. Let me pull up some more news for the benefit of our viewers tuning into this special broadcast. In reactions are starting to pour in on Operation Sindoor, the Indian Navy Lieutenant Vinay Narwal's father, Rajesh, has said, and I quote him here, "The government of India has taken the right step. They will always remember this strike," unquote. Now, Indian Navy Lieutenant Vinay Narwal was killed in the deadly Pahalgam terror attack on 22nd of April. Take a listen.
आज भारत सरकार ने वो काम करके दिखाया है। हाँ, जिन घरों से जिनके लाल चले गए उनका जीवन तो वापस नहीं आ सकता, परंतु ऐसा कुछ हो कि इस तरह की कायराना हरकतें और बुज़दिली हरकतें करने की कोई साहस ना करे। उनको एक संदेश मिल चुका है मेरी सरकार की तरफ से, हमारी सरकार की तरफ से, कि यदि कभी उंगली भी उठाई तो उसका जवाब कैसा होगा उनको समझ लेना चाहिए।
And Vinay Narwal's mother, Asha, has expressed gratitude to Prime Minister Narendra Modi and said, "Today a tribute has been paid to all those who lost their lives."
ये बहुत ही अच्छी बात है कि जो उन्होंने मोदी साहब ने बदला लिया है। सेना के जवानों को यही मैसेज देना चाहती हूँ कि आगे बढ़ते रहो। उन सभी को श्रद्धांजलि मिली है, वो जो शहीद हुए हैं उनको न्याय मिला है।
And also killed by terrorists in Pahalgam was Syed Adil Hussain Shah, a local who was shot while he was trying to save the tourists on Operation Sindoor. His father, Haider Shah, said he is thankful to the government for taking revenge.
आज जो उन 26 लोगों का बदला वहाँ पे लिया गया तो हम तो खुश हैं। हम इस गवर्नमेंट का शुक्रिया अदा करते हैं, फौज ने और गवर्नमेंट ने इसका बदला लिया।
So in cities and towns across India, locals express pride in the armed forces and satisfaction with the government's response. Many describe the operation as absolutely necessary to send a clear message to Pakistan on the issue of terrorism.
जो अभी सरकार किया बहुत अच्छा किया। पाकिस्तान को एक बार सबक देना बहुत ज़रूरी था, क्योंकि जो ज़मीनी हकीकत है जिस तरह से वो कर रहा है वो हमारे लिए बहुत दुखदायक था।
सब आतंकवादी जो अड्डे थे जिन्होंने बार बार जहाँ से हमला किया था वो सबको ध्वंस कर दिया, तो हम बहुत खुश है, बहुत खुश है, बहुत खुश है।
नहीं होना ही चाहिए, ये बार बार की मगजमारी सब खत्म हो जाए, ये बढ़िया है। मोदी का जो निर्णय है वो बेस्ट है।
All right, joining me from Chandigarh is my colleague Amrit Pal Singh. Amrit, while we are standing by for that much anticipated press conference here in New Delhi, you are in Chandigarh. What are you picking up about Operation Sindoor and its fallout since it was launched and executed several hours ago? Amrit.
That's right. I mean, the strikes that India had to do, India has done in the wee hours of the morning or in the night. What the Indian armed forces are now looking at, what kind of retaliation does Pakistan do to it, and they're prepared for it. Where I am here in Chandigarh, very close to Chandigarh, there's a place called Chandi Mandir, which is the Western Command headquarters. The area of operations include Punjab, Haryana, parts of Himachal Pradesh, and the bordering areas of Jammu and Kashmir, especially Jammu. So the Indian armed forces are on high alert. Both the Indian Army and the Indian Air Force. It's got bases here. We've got 3 corps here: the Himachal Pradesh Jol Corps, the Jalandhar Corps, the Ambala Corps, which is our strike corps, and then we've got air bases here. So they are on high alert. If Pakistan resorts to any misadventurism, they can give a befitting reply, because the strategy right now is of the military is that they've hit terror targets inside Pakistan and Pakistan occupied Kashmir, both in PoK and in Punjab, but they haven't hit the Pakistan military. The Pakistan military is responding on the borders by doing small arms firing and arty shelling. But if they give a bigger response and attack military targets in India, then it will be a war that Pakistan will initiate. India hasn't initiated this war, but India will give a befitting reply. So that looks like the strategy here. Of course, the civil defense drills, etc., are being carried out in towns and cities along the border and in the hinterland as well. Ramesh?
Amrit, stay on. We'll come back to you momentarily. In the meantime, we're getting some more news and updates here on this special broadcast. This time, we are told that Home Minister Amit Shah has reacted on Operation Sindoor. He has posted a message on X, and I quote him here. He says, "Proud of our armed forces, Operation Sindoor is Bharat's response to the brutal killing of our innocent brothers in Pahalgam. The Modi government is resolved to give a befitting response to any attack on India and its people. Bharat remains firmly committed to eradicating terrorism from its roots." Unquote. That was a message posted on X by Home Minister Amit Shah just moments ago, following the launch of Operation Sindoor by the Indian Armed Forces. Right, coming back to Amrit now, while we are standing by for that press conference, we have 2 official statements to go by. First, by the Indian Army and the government, and the second, interestingly, by the Indian Embassy in Washington, D.C. Now, if I was paraphrasing the statement here, it says, number 1, India has credible leads, technical inputs, testimony of the survivors and other evidence pointing towards the clear involvement of Pakistan-based terrorists in this attack. Point number 1. Number 2, it says, India's actions have been focused and precise. They were measured, responsible and designed to be non-escalatory in nature. It goes on to say, no Pakistani civilian, economic or military targets have been hit. Only known terror targets were targeted. Your thoughts, Amrit, on the tone and tenor of the statement, and 2, what do you make of the text and its context in particular?
What I make of the text is that what India is very clearly saying, that it's a precise, focused, non-escalatory action by India. It's retribution, but it's retribution against terror, the infrastructure, terror factories of Pakistan. Their military hasn't been attacked, their civilians haven't been attacked, their no economic targets have been attacked, as in their factories, their dams, they haven't been attacked. So it's not really an act of war which Pakistan can accuse India of. India gave ample time to Pakistan post Pahalgam to rein in the terror factory. They should have acted. The handlers in Pakistan who were conducting this operation should have been, and if executioners have crossed over, they should have been handed back to India. If not to India, then to the international community, and they should have come clean. But they chose to go down a way which they've always taken, the denial mode, and calling it a false flag operation, etc. So clearly the intent of the Pakistanis was not to act against the terror factories. India retains the right, reserves the right to act against the terror factories which inflict pain on India. The signaling and the message is very clear. You inflict pain on us, we will inflict pain back on you. We will raise the costs, this will have costs. Now India is in a position, India is at the position, the military is in a position to wait, watch, judge their response. If their military responds by attacking targets in India, which will be civilian targets, because we aren't training any terrorists in our mandirs, gurdwaras, madrasas, mosques, or churches. It is they who've been doing that, and they do exactly precise targets have been hit. Even if you look at the images coming out of Pakistan, which are not provided by the Indians, it is by their own civilians. Those images very clearly show, even within compounds that have been attacked, say the Bahawalpur compound or even the Muridke compound, targeted precision missile attacks have been done. The nearby areas have not been attacked. So the message is very, very clear that terror factories, if Pakistan allows its soil to be used for running terror operations against India, India reserves the right to attack them, both within Pakistan occupied Kashmir and also Pakistan. In this case, Bahawalpur and Muridke have been attacked, which are in Punjab of Pakistan. So India reserves the right to retaliate and take action. Ramesh?
Indeed, Amrit, thank you for your inputs. There, my colleague Amrit Pal Singh reporting there from Chandigarh on Operation Sindoor and its fallout in the last several hours since the operation was planned and executed. Right, in the meantime, on a programming note, remember viewers, we are standing by for a press conference by the Indian Army here in New Delhi, but we are told that that press conference now stands delayed by about 30 minutes. Joining me is my colleague Akshay Dongre from the venue of that much anticipated briefing. Akshay, fill us in on the latest. Do you have an update for us? Apologies, we'll try to fix that link with Akshay in just a bit. Akshay is at the venue of that, as I mentioned, the much anticipated press conference to be held by the Indian Army and government in New Delhi.
Hello. Check.
Akshay, if you are with us and you can hear me. All right, we'll get back to Akshay in just a bit. Akshay Dongre reporting there from New Delhi about that press conference we are waiting for and we are standing by. Right, we still have with us our guests, Ambassador Prabhu Dayal and Lieutenant General Ravi Shankar. All right, I'm told my colleague Akshay is finally with us. Akshay, are you with us? Can you hear me?
Yes. Can you hear me, Ramesh?
Right, Akshay, do you have an update for us on that briefing?
Well, the update is the very update that you have given to our viewers just a few seconds back, that the press briefing by the Indian Armed Forces has been delayed by about 30 minutes, and the reason for that is the magnitude of activities that are happening across the borders with Pakistan, and a response is being formulated as far as the Indian Armed Forces are concerned to the country and to the world. In fact, as you can see, let me ask my camera person Keshav to show you around what's happening here at the National Media Center. So this is the place where the press briefing will take place, and as you can see, this is completely houseful. It's packed with journalists, armed forces officials from the India's Ministry of External Affairs, all here waiting in anticipation for the response that is going to come in a short while from now at about 10:30 a.m. According to Indian Standard Time, and everything that went as far as Operation Sindoor is concerned throughout the night, the information that has to be given to the public and the world will be shared here live on televisions. So we are just waiting for some time more to get a complete response, to get a complete picture of what is happening, or not only what just happened, but also what is happening right now as far as this cowardly retaliation by Pakistan is concerned. concerned targeting of civilian areas, artillery shelling that is taking place not just at the LOC but also at the international border, Ramesh. So all of those answers will be given here at this press conference in New Delhi to also chart the course of future course of action for the Indian Armed Forces as well as the Indian government. Back to you, Ramesh.
Right, so as my colleague Akshay is reporting there, the much anticipated briefing by the Indian Army stands delayed by about 30 minutes. We'll get you that live when it becomes available. Akshay, thank you for now. Right, before we wind up this segment of our broadcast, one last quick comment from both our guests, Lieutenant General Ravi Shankar and Ambassador Prabhu Dayal. If I can come to you and start with you, General Shankar, 2 minutes to both of my guests. Your final closing thoughts, very quickly, if you will, about where do we go from here and what is at stake for Pakistan? Does Pakistan run the risk of being dismembered if it resorts to misadventure?
Yeah, look, before we attempt this, I just want to read out what China has come out with.
Sure.
China has come out with a very interesting statement.
Sure.
It says China finds India's military operation this morning regrettable. We are concerned about the ongoing situation. India and Pakistan are and will always be each other's neighbors. They are both China's neighbors as well. China opposes all forms of terrorism. We urge both sides to act in the larger interest of peace and stability, remain calm, exercise restraint, and refrain from taking actions that may further complicate the situation. It's a very interesting statement. There's now, China has gone like a cat on the wall and sat down. It's, doing both things. They are also condemning terrorism, and they're also saying, their Indian action is regrettable. So things are very clear. China is very clear now what has happened. Their whole thing. They don't want to now put their weight completely behind Pakistan.
Okay.
So look at the international situation, which the ambassador was also mentioning earlier. A whole lot of the diplomatic and international opinion is now going against Pakistan.
And China, possibly?
Yeah, and China, it won't. China is, that's why backtracking at this point of time so that it doesn't get caught on the side of Pakistan. Right. And also, there are many in the international, fora who will be very happy with what India has done. That's also there in the social media. Good. We thank you for doing what we did because Pakistan is a known sponsor of terrorism.
Indeed, indeed.
So I think that is also a factor which we need to factor in, and Pakistan has to factor going ahead.
Fair enough. Ambassador Dayal, you get the last word. Your thoughts, your final closing thoughts on this segment of our broadcast, including on the point mentioned by General Shankar about China's statement. Regrettable for India to retaliate against a terror attack? Seriously?
Which General Shankar read out about what China has said. China is the last country which should tell anybody what a good neighbor is. Because China has not been a good neighbor to us. And in fact, it has been consistently hostile in every possible manner.
Right.
So what the Chinese say can be ignored as total nonsense. Now, what should be India's policy? Firstly, in the short term and in the long term. In the short term, we should seek international support and make sure that this conflict does not escalate. We did not want to have a full-scale war with Pakistan. We only wanted to strike at their terrorist camps. And we have sent out a message which makes this very clear to the people of Pakistan and to the government of Pakistan that we don't want to escalate the conflict.
Right.
Now, in the long term, I was posted in Pakistan in the early 1980s, and I used to hear their generals relentlessly speak about the fact that they will bleed India by 1,000 cuts. They have been doing this all along. This whole policy of using terrorism against India is because they think that this way they can bleed India by 1,000 cuts.
Right.
Now, I have always felt, and this was also mentioned by General Shankar, that we should have a long-term policy that we will break up Pakistan by 1,000 blows. And these blows will come internally because, as we have all discussed, there are serious insurgencies in the Baloch province, Balochistan, and in the Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, and the Baluchis and the Pashtuns want independence. Sooner or later, that is going to happen.
Fair enough.
Pakistan cannot hold together.
Indeed.
But the most important point is we should step up pressure on Pakistan
All right.
in every manner possible, including through economic means.
All right, point taken. Ambassador Dayal, General Shankar, thank you for joining us and sharing your thoughts with our viewers in India and around the world. Thank you for your time. Much appreciated. And before we wind up this special broadcast on Operation Sindoor, we get you details of the terrorist hotbeds targeted by the Indian Armed Forces. The first one was Markaz Subhanallah, which was run by Jaish-e-Mohammed in Bahawalpur city in the Punjab province of Pakistan. Now, this Markaz, or the center, served as the operational headquarters of the Jaish-e-Mohammed and was associated with terrorist plannings, including the Pulwama attack on 14th February 2019. The perpetrators of the Pulwama attack were trained at this very camp. The second one was the Markaz Taiba, which was established in the year 2000 and was the alma mater and the most important training center of the Lashkar-e-Taiba, located in Nangal Sahadan town in the Punjab province of Pakistan. The third was Mehmoona Joya facility of Hizbul Mujahideen, located near Kotli Bhutta Government Hospital in Hid Marala area of Sialkot district of Pakistan's Punjab. The terror backers, the Pakistan's ISI, had facilitated setting up of such launch facilities along the international border and the line of control in government buildings to hide or conceal terror infrastructure. The next was Markaz Ahle Hadith Barnala, run by Lashkar-e-Taiba in the Bhimbar district in Pakistan-occupied Jammu and Kashmir. The center was one of the important markers of the LET in PoJK and was used for infiltration of the LET terrorists and arms ammunition into Poonch, Rajouri, Riyasi sector of India. The center or markers was situated on the outskirts of Barnala town on Kot Jamal Road and was at a distance of 500 meters from Barnala town and 200 meters from Kot Jamal Road. The sixth target India hit was the Markaz Sayyidina Hazrat Abbas bin Abdul Muttalib, was Jaish-Mohammed center located in Kotli of Pakistan-occupied Jammu and Kashmir. Now, this center was located close to Pakistani military camp Kotli. This building was accommodating around 100 to 125 Jaish-e-Mohammed cadres, and 40 to 50 JEM cadres were always present within the premises of this Markaz at any given point of time. The seventh target was located in the PoJK, Maskar Rahil Shaheed Hizbul Mujahideen in Kotli district of PoJK. Maskar Rahil Shaheed was one of the oldest facilities of Hizbul Mujahideen. It is a secluded facility and accessible only via a Kacha track. Now, the camp is located in the hilly area and comprises barracks, 4 rooms being used for keeping arms and ammunition, office and for residential purpose for terrorists. Another camp hit was Shawai Nala camp, one of the most important camps of LET, and is used for recruitment, registration and training of LET cadres. This camp was functional since early 2000. The Sayyidina Bilal Masjid is the main center of JEM in PoJK, located opposite Red Fort in Muzaffarabad. This facility was used as a transit camp for JEM terrorists prior to their launching into J&K. At any point of time, 50 to 100 cadres were residing in this facility. And with that, it's a wrap on this segment of our special broadcast. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Ramesh Ramachandran. From all of us here in New Delhi, thanks for watching DD India, your one-stop destination for authentic and authoritative news on Operation Sindoor. Justice is served. News and updates continue after a short break. Don't go anywhere.